Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Thunder, and this is Two Dads React. And yes, today is the first day of Pride Month. And there's been a sort of onslaught of boycotts of various companies. Of course, we know about the Bud Light thing, and everyone's afraid of being Bud Lighted or budded or something. They don't want the same thing to happen to them. Miller was in line for some boycott love or hate, or I don't know what you call it. They're losing money. And of course, Target is in the middle of all of this. Chick-fil-A just recently seemed to have done a sort of 180. And it's strange because I think everyone was very much surprised. They were very much surprised that after what happened to Bud Light, that any of these companies would be foolish enough to, well, you see what has happened. Targeted for boycott today on Two Dads React. Let's go. Warning. Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. What's happening? What's happening?
How much? Just been busy all day, mowing the lawn, doing tons of stuff. How about you?
Okay.
Got some
Yeah,
sun,
I've been definitely busy. A lot of stuff going on. My son, his last day of school, his last day of third grade was today,
right?
and he's super excited, and I've got like a pretty aggressive summer schedule planned for him. A lot of things that I want us to be able to do, and he's getting to the age where like teaching him certain kind of things, and he's asking a lot of questions. He's asking those kind of deep philosophical questions. He's like, "Who created God?" These kind of questions, and so it's a good time. I'm always excited about the summer because I get to spend a lot more time. He's pretty much with me 24/7 during the summer, and so that's always a great time. How about you? How's the family?
Man, oh, good. Yeah, I was just out, just like I said, I was buying shoes. I was just trying to do a bunch of stuff I've been putting off for a month because I've been so busy. You know, Finally got a pair of shoes. I actually didn't even have any shoes, dude. I literally had just these I don't know what you call them, trail shoes. They're like just garbage shoes, and I
uh,
had to get some decent shoes. So I spent an hour trying to figure that out.
yeah.
You know.
All right. Well, so you see the topic.
Oh
Let's
yeah.
see here who we got here. Woman of Christ says, "Howdy, everyone. Howdy to you." And we got Brother Gas here.
Amen.
And today is the first day of Pride Month, and
I'm proud to be a father. I'm proud to be a father. So
yeah, yeah, I'm proud to be a father too. I'm proud to be a father too. Um, you know,
I don't want to be
there.
left out. I'm proud of something too.
That's right. I I am very, very concerned. I'm concerned about what's going on. And you talk about being a father and, protecting, protecting our children, and knowing that there are those that are trying to indoctrinate and convert them early on, and I try to do the thing to, keep my son out of private school, all of that. I'm sorry, keep him out of public school, put him in private school. Try to do whatever you can do, but it's just certain things. It's like, thankfully, he hasn't started like noticing certain things, like why is that guy holding hands with this other guy, or why is he hasn't really started asking those questions yet, but
that's
I'm
funny.
sure
My
that's
kids are
coming.
my kids know about that stuff, but I mean, they just they know about what's his name, Mr. Beast, in his his recent thing, right? With his coworker. His coworker
Mm.
came out, right? My kids know about that. They know about some of the stuff. They're not, I mean, they just kind of look at it kind of like memes and stuff, and just the culture, they know about it, but they themselves are not really for it. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of thing. So,
Jumping right into um the festivities, and for folks tuning in, the show is kind of it's a bit of a variety show. We have a main event, and that is targeted for Boycott. That is the main event. But we'll discuss a lot of things, and a lot of the videos that I'm going to be showing are somewhat related to. So today's show is a little more closely related to the main topic. In But let's go ahead and start right off with some craziness. Here we go.
Oh no.
I don't know if I was clear the first
You
time
weren't
when I
clear,
said it,
sorry.
so I'll be clear again this time.
Okay.
My gender is
Oh.
and my
Any
pronouns
pronouns?
are
I mean, okay.
Okay.
This is maybe the only time in human history where I will say I will use the alternative pronoun, because it does seem as though you are a demon. Honestly, more of this. More of this in public society, because I want to know who the insane people around me are. If I see a resume and it says Bob Smith, preferred pronouns, then I know who not to hire. So thank you for selecting out of our employment pool. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
I've never seen anybody do that with their gender pronouns. I thought it was funny. I don't know if he was trying to be funny or if that was like serious. That's the thing. You don't know if it's serious or funny. What's going on here? You don't know anymore. You don't know if it's a joke or serious. You don't know, right?
It's true. It's true, and it's pretty actually. Okay, so to go ahead and put us in the mood, let's go ahead and head over here. Here, 1 second. Here, let me fix this real quick. Okay, there we go. Nice and ready to go. And let's remind ourselves of what this month is all about.
As we celebrate Pride and the progress we've made over these past years, there's still work to be done. So to those of you out there who are still working against equal rights, we have a message for you.
You think we're sinful? You fight against our rights. You say we all lead lives you can't respect. But you're just frightened. You think that we'll corrupt your kids if our agenda goes unchecked. Funny, just this once, you're correct. We'll convert your children. Happens bit by bit, quietly and subtly, and you will barely notice it. You can keep them from disco, warn about San Francisco, make him wear pleated pants, we don't care. We'll convert your children. We'll make them tolerant and fair.
At first I didn't get why you'd be so scared of us turning your children into accepting, caring people, but I see now why you'd have a problem with that.
Just like you worried, they'll change their group of friends. You won't approve of where they go at night to protests. Oh, and you'll be disgusted. So gross. When they start finding things online that you've kept far from their sight. Like information. Guess what? You'll still be alright. We'll convert your children, yes we will.
Reaching one and all, there's really no escaping it.
'Cause even grandma likes RuPaul.
And the world's getting kinder.
Gen Z's gayer than Grindr. Learn to love, learn to Vogue, face your fate. We'll convert your children. Someone's gotta teach them not to hate. We're coming for them.
We're coming for your children.
We're coming for them. We're coming for your children. We're coming for them.
Your children will care about fairness and justice for others. Your children will work to convert all their sisters and brothers. Then soon we're almost certain your kids will start converting you. The gay agenda is coming home. The gay agenda is here. But you don't have to worry. 'Cause there's nothing wrong with standing by our side. Get on board in a hurry. Because the world always needs a bit more pride. No, you don't have to worry. 'Cause there's nothing wrong with standing by your side. Get on board in a hurry. Because the world always needs a bit more pride. Come on, try a little pride. We'll convert your children. Then we'll turn to you. Giving up the fear inside is freeing like you never knew.
Go and see San Francisco.
Go and turn up that disco.
You'll forget you were ever upset.
We'll convert your children.
here is an image here. One second here. Here's an image to remind us.
A family can be made up.
Oh, 1 second here. Sorry about that. Oh, it didn't have the image there. Oh, there it is right there.
Oh my goodness.
There we go. This is how they're going to convert your children. So,
well, I mean, there's like a bunch of things he said that just didn't make sense. Like he said that the world is kinder. Like I honestly, I don't know what he's talking about. The world is not kinder. It's not even remotely kinder.
nope.
I mean, it was way kinder before this. You know what I mean? The world is not kinder at all. And they seem like they're full. Especially the first guy seemed like he's full of anger. Like he just really, you know what I mean? Like he just didn't seem happy and like he had anger at maybe someone because, you know, I think there's a lot of tension between their, you know, the sort of these two dichotomies, right now, sort of this, and it's really strange too, you know, it's really strange, and I feel like it's purposely put there by the devil, this tension, the separation that's splitting more and more. And I did a video recently talking about the fact that I think the devil's on both sides, and there's this video that came out by Troy Black, where he talked about two ancient goddesses are in California. Let's see if I can find that. And one's called Artemis. Did I talk about that before? Or have you heard me talk about that? Yeah, I did a video recently on my channel talking about this. Let me see if I can find it. Goddesses. Two goddesses. Yeah, here we go. Appeared in Los Angeles. And of course, it's going to show an advertisement, of course. Yeah, but I don't need to really show what he was saying anyways. Basically, it's talking about two goddesses, Venus and Artemis. And we all know what Venus is, right? Love, pleasure, sex, right? All that kind of stuff. So, and these are two ancient goddesses, and this is what the devil's used to separate and break down societies all throughout the ages. Artemis is about hunting. It's like city versus rural. Artemis is like hunting, family, just things that seem to be more on the rural side, right? Or maybe on the right. And then on the left, you got the, you know, power, money, sex, desire, and this is Venus. And these are two goddesses that oppose each other in ancient times. And I feel like, you know, the devil purposely gets behind both and tries to get into the church and sort of steer it the wrong direction to where it's fighting instead of trying to bring people into God. They're trying to fight these people, you know what I mean? And I feel like it's kind of like what's going on in our society right now. That's just kind of my thoughts on it. But,
you know, it's interesting because, you know, I don't condone, of course, violence or aggression or even proselytizing of people that have a different worldview. If you have a different worldview, have different beliefs, I can totally respect that, and that's great. And to the extent that things have been done to you or people that you know, family members and whatnot, it's not okay. That's not okay. Okay.
Right. Well, there's another thing too, another aspect to it as well. Go ahead. Oh, okay. The other aspect is basically, it was another aspect of Artemis, this goddess, is chastity. And you'll see this like false sort of like everything's a sin type of thing in the church. You know what I'm talking about? Like, and you'll see priests can't marry in the Catholic Church and all this kind of stuff as well. And it's even prophesied in 1 Timothy 4, doctrines of devils and deceiving spirits forbidding to marry is one of the things that will happen in the latter times, which is what happened. Priests can't, and it's a false theology in the church that comes from the Latin School of Theology, which is where the Protestants and the Catholics get the father of their theology is through the Latin School of Theology, through St. Augustine. And I've talked against St. Augustine before because it's all about Gnosticism. It's sort of a Gnostic idea, like the flesh is evil, pleasure is evil, sex is evil, all the stuff's evil. So then some people in the church think this is like righteous, like, don't kiss before marriage, all this kind of stuff. And then it helps build this dichotomy, this separation, to where you have like this sort of an unrealistic standard in the church. And then these people rebel against it. And then they go far to the other opposite end, which is like the Venus side, which is the pleasure, the sex. And then you have an entire month Pride about essentially that, right? So then it's like the devil's using the two together to separate people and get them away from God. And they don't realize it, because a lot of people in the church are like, oh yeah, so it's fine to have all these pure standards, but actually they go too far with it. And then this causes people to rebel. You see what I mean? This is what I'm trying to get at.
It's interesting because obviously there is a standard. There is a godly standard.
Right. Yeah, of course. I know. But I'm just saying that there's this unrealistic standard that a lot of people have. But
great. But there's obviously a standard, but there's a way to express that standard. And because you have a particular standard, you have a particular worldview, it's wrong in any case to try to impose your worldview on other people. It's wrong.
Yeah,
I agree. It's against free will. So to the extent that the pietistic, to the extent that the sort of zealous religious whatever folks are attempting to proselytize and force other people to abide by their values, that's wrong. But it's also wrong, of course, for folks to try to, expose your kids to stuff that they have no business looking at, and to try to basically open up Pandora's box too early, and do significant damage to people because you're exposing them to stuff too early. There's a let me show you this, and then
you've heard of the Didache, right? Didache?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an ancient early Christian manual on how to live, and one of the tenets of it is do not corrupt children, which is referring to exactly what's happening right now. Go ahead.
And hold up here. Let me see if I can find it. It's not that. There it is. There it is, right there. Here, let me get rid of these.
And you can have corruption on either side. You can have like where you have a parent that's just overbearing, and it actually causes the kid to run away from God, because they're too ridiculous with their standards, or,
Well, and it's wrong to judge people. Understand what I mean by this, because that word is used wrong all the time. Actually, you're supposed to judge. The Bible says to judge the tree. You judge a tree by its fruit, but you're not supposed to pass judgment. In other words, you're casting them into the lake of fire, before the end. Like you're not supposed to be. You're not the judge. You're not the one that gets to say that you'll never be anything, that you're going to hell. You don't get to do that. Nobody gets to do that.
Well, it's BS anyways, because look at Apostle Paul. I mean, he was killing Christians and he ended up being an apostle. So, I mean,
right, exactly.
That right there should tell you everything.
All right, so check this out. Speaking of trying to expose kids to stuff prematurely, here we go.
My own last name is Amanchukwu. It means I know God, and I'm glad to say that I do. I'm here today to talk about this book here. My name is John Amanchukwu, as I've stated earlier. It's called It's Perfectly Normal for Students 10 and Up. This book details all kinds of sexual images, pictures of elderly people nude, pictures of an individual who's in a wheelchair with his penis out. All of these sexual pornographic images are made available and placed at the fingertips of children. And I'm sure, Dr. Cruz, I don't know if you knew about this before you signed on, but hopefully this is something that you can address and deal with, because this is immoral and asinine to allow children to be able to see this. Also, this book even shows images of two women having sex. a man and a woman having sex, and two men having sex. That's not perfectly normal. Who decides what's normal? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? Or do parents decide what should be placed at the fingertips and allowed to be taught to their children in the school system? I'll read some of this for you. It says, after a bit, a person's vagina becomes moist and slippery, and the clitoris becomes hard. After a bit, a person's penis becomes erect, stiff, and larger.
Pastor.
Sometimes a bit of clear fluid that may contain a few sperm comes out of the tip of the penis and makes it wet.
Can we, sir, I'm sorry.
Was it something I said? Was it something I said? If you don't want to hear it in a school board meeting, why should children be able to check it out of the school system? You see, we have perverts that are perverting our kids. And you all sit back smug in your chairs and celebrate diversity, equity, and inclusion, but you don't want me to read it so you can hear it. Why? Does it bother you? Yes or no? You can't answer that question. You want to know why? Because politically speaking, you can't say that it's wrong. You probably are a Christian man, but many Christians today have become more Democrat than Christian. Some Republicans have become more Republican than Christian. I'm not trying to win an election. I don't get my talking points from the RNC or the DNC. I get my talking points from the Bible, from the Bible. And you don't want me to read the filth because it exposes the truth. How dare you tell me to stop reading it? If you don't want to hear it, why should the children have to see it?
Pastor, your time is up. Thank you.
Like I said, there is a growing, and I have started to notice this. You know, I've been, very critical of modern churches, and in saying that a lot of them are bending the knee. They're bending the knee to girl power. They're bending the knee to the, LGBT.
They've been doing that for like
stuff.
20 years.
That's
They've
right.
been doing the girl power one for 20 years, man.
Right, to the democratic sort of agenda and all of this kind of stuff. They've been bending their knee. But I've also mentioned a few folks that seem like they're willing to consistently push back against that stuff. And I'm starting to notice a lot more ministers step up and actually say the stuff that's out of the Bible. And the thing is, go ahead.
What he was saying actually is exactly what I was talking about. He said, I don't get my talking points from the RNC or DNC, right?
Right.
And this is what I'm talking about. Artemimus and Venus is how the devil works in society. It's the left versus right. It's the city versus rural. And so the devil tries to put you in a classification so that you don't go in the right place. Because, and this is what I've always thought, like I never really could identify with one, theology or whatever, because I always felt like there was something wrong with all of them. It's like, the devil sets up Coke versus Pepsi and then like neither one's right. And this is how he's always felt it was. And he's right. He's going from the Bible, he said, right? Which, I mean, and even that, unfortunately, I feel like the Bible has been also corrupted in some respect via theology and in removing books and stuff like that as well. But I agree with him in that respect. I think he's basically hitting the nail on the head with that. We've been focusing too much on left versus right, which is what the devil wants you to do. It's supposed to be about what's right and wrong. What does God want? What is right and wrong? I mean, these people know this is wrong, but they're afraid to say anything because of an agenda going on, right? That's what it is.
And look, I don't have anything against anybody's. You can do what you want to do whatever you want to do in your bedroom, behind closed doors, whatever that. I don't have any issues with that. What I have an issue with is leave my kid out of it. And certainly do not be, coming for our children, as that song that I played earlier suggested. First of all,
he's doing it out of anger. It's out of anger he said that too. It's like he wants to get even or something. Like he feels like you're the enemy. In that song, you can even see it in his face. It's like, you're the enemy. I'm going to get even with you because you're like my dad was. And my dad was wrong. He really pissed me off. So I'm going to get even by doing this to you. Right? It's kind of the feeling I got from it. It's like a sort of a vengeance type of feeling. It's not like he cares about your kids. Right?
Right. Okay, so what do you got for
Well,
us?
I wanted to say something else. You played that really long video earlier, I wanted to say, like, it felt like he was angry. It felt like it was like he was trying to say that it's all about peace and people being kinder, which is the exact opposite of what this all is.
Right.
The more it happens, the less kind people are. But at any rate, I wanted to, let's see what else we got. Well, obviously you got the boycott, of course, Target, but now it's Chick-fil-A too, right? You were saying about Chick-fil-A. And honestly, I kind of feel like I knew this was coming with Chick-fil-A. Did you see the video? I saw it on, what was it, Black Conservative Perspective? I think that's the channel I saw it on. Is that what the channel's called? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what the channel.
Yeah, that dude, he had a video. Oh my goodness. It was about Chick-fil-A, and it was so ridiculous. He played about shoe shining. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, I saw that whole thing. Yep.
Okay, yeah, you saw that. I don't know where he makes a million videos. I don't know where it is. Yeah, here we go. This is it. I watched this one. Of course, it's got an ad, obviously. Maybe I should pay for no ads, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you saw this. Maybe you can play this. Did you want to play that?
Sure.
Or do you have that video?
Sure.
The thing that really got me was when it sounded so fake. This CEO of Chick-fil-A going over there to an African American and shining his shoes, like, and then the guy's like, "Hey, how about you give me some stock?" And then of course he completely ignored him when he said, "Give me some stock."
Right. Because that's the thing that's actually valuable, that would actually mean something.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't really speak too much about this, but my wife's job, it reminds me of that too, because their president seemed totally fake, like this guy, totally fake. But I don't know if you got the video and you can play it, but it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, I've got it right here.
All right.
Let's see here. Oh, wait a minute. I want to make sure that I'm actually looking at the right shoe shine thing, because I think he did more than one video.
This is the one I saw. I know this is the one I saw, but maybe there's a better one. I don't know.
How long is it?
20 minutes and 31 seconds, the whole entire video.
Yep, I got the right one. I've got the right one.
Right.
Here we go. Let me what am I doing? Let's do this.
I hate this fake stuff. I hate how fake people are, man. It just really makes me mad.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna be something real, If you're a rich, filthy rich guy that doesn't like people, just be that. Don't pretend like you care. Stop pretending like you care. You know?
All right. So where do you want me to start?
I was just thinking the part where it's where is it, like the 10-minute or something? He even didn't like it. This guy over this channel, I don't remember his name, but I watch him sometimes.
Okay, wait a minute. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Here it is.
Telling white people that they need to get on their knees and shine the shoes of black people, right? And it's actually pretty hilarious. Take a look.
Some of our closing moments here, but a story that was shared with me by a dear friend who shared with me about a revival that was taking place at a church in Texas. And at that revival, on the front seat was an older African American man that was sitting there. And this young man got up that was there in that service, and he'd been so gripped with conviction about the racism that was in that local community in a small town in Texas that he took a shoe brush and he walked over to this elderly gentleman and he knelt on his knees and began to shine his shoes. And tears began to flow in that service. It was an attitude of conviction. So I invite folks to put some words to action here. And if we need to find somebody that needs to have their shoe shine, we need to just go right on over and shine their shoes. And whether they got tennis shoes on or not, maybe they got sandals on, it really doesn't matter. But there's a time in which we need to have, some personal action here. Maybe we need to give them a hug too, brother.
And some stock in Chick-fil-A.
But I bought about 1,500 of these, and I gave to all our Chick-fil-A operators and staff a number of years ago. And so any expressions of a contrite heart, of a sense of humility, a sense of shame, a sense of embarrassment, beget with an apologetic heart, I think that's...
Yeah, so you notice how when the black dude mentioned stock in Chick-fil-A, right, which is what I would much rather prefer, right, which is something any of us would much rather prefer than get our shoes shined. You notice how he ignored that, right? He didn't comment on that, right? Something that could actually really help out black people, okay? Again, this is like straight up like what I have the biggest problem with when it comes to people who want to virtue signal about racism, right? Especially white people who be like, oh, I'm fighting against racism. I love black people so much. Okay, so when it comes time to actually, put your money where your mouth is, right? Give me some stock in Chick-fil-A. He didn't really want to talk about that, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting because these same folks, when you start having conversations about stuff like reparations, if you have conversations about stuff like, actual things that they actually have done to wrong other people of color, they're quiet as a church mouse. But when it's
the thing that really got me too. Oh, good.
Yeah, but when it's this like general stuff and like community stuff or whatever like that, then they're coming up with this foolish kind of stuff like this, and that stuff does not mean a dadgum thing.
Yeah, it's stupid, man. It's like faker, and then the thing about when he said humility and stuff like that, it's fine, but then he goes shame and embarrassment. I'm like, shut up, dude. I didn't own any slaves, and you didn't either. I mean, this guy is just an idiot. He's just like some guy pretending like he cares. I guarantee you, he doesn't give a crap about anybody. And the reason why I say that, because I've seen dudes like this before, and they'll come out and they say they're for BLM and stuff like that, but then they'll go fire all the black employees. And I'm telling you, like I've seen this, and they'll fire all the white employees, black employees, and they'll hire an Indian firm and replace everybody. They don't care, dude. They don't care about you. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying, Indians or, you know what I'm saying. I'm just saying like they just pretend like they care about people and stuff, and they don't care. They just care about money and how they look. And of course, if they give money out, they're going to make sure they publish it as well. Because I've seen also, I can't remember what company it was, but like they gave out like, I can't remember what it was. It was like, let's just say they gave out $50,000, right? Then they spent $75,000 to market the fact that they gave out $50,000. I mean, like, give me a break, dude. You don't care, man. Come on.
Yeah, it's a bunch of phony stuff, man. What else do you want to show us?
The guy, they want to do equity, right? Equity and inclusion, and this is the guy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've been very critical of diversity and inclusion. Now they added the equity in it.
What does it mean exactly? Does that mean everybody gets the same thing, or what is equity?
Basically, so I talk about this on my channel often, but so basically diversity and inclusion is basically affirmative action reborn, and it's sort of rebranded, and it's put in a certain all these companies and corporations have embraced this, so it's not necessarily legislation on the governmental level. It is policy in corporations and organizations, and of course colleges and universities and all like this have totally, they're totally married to the diversity and inclusion stuff. They started adding equity into that thing, but it's like adding another letter to the alphabet, thing. It's like AI plus and all like that. It's like adding more stuff to it, but it's still the same core. it's still the same thing. Now, the issue that I have with the diversity inclusion stuff is that what they did was they eliminated any sort of allegiance to the original purpose of affirmative action. Okay. Now let me qualify this real quick. Let's go here. Let me qualify
Yeah,
this
let's
real
go
quick.
there.
Okay. So affirmative action in its initial capitulation, what it was supposed to be from the beginning, was laser focused on black men. Okay. It was a
Okay.
way that the government was attempting to try to rectify situations that the government clearly caused. Okay. So they're like, okay, we want to try to help to heal the black community. We are jointly culpable, not just jointly culpable. We caused this. Let's see if we can do something. So, but what happened is as soon as affirmative action got in, Title IX became the law of the land. Title IX labels women as minorities. So then what happened was
So then the women all got it.
That's right. Rather than the people that were intended to get the support, what happened was now we see historically 84% of the recipients of affirmative action were white women. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So it's a total switcheroo, and a lot of the talking points on the right, the conservatives, they totally don't understand. They don't understand that part of it. They just think it like, hey, look, this minority guy, he's going to get this job and like this. No, that's not how it works. They are hyper prioritizing and have since Title IX went in women. And even when people of color get these positions, it's the women people of color because they get a double minority credit because they're a woman and they're also black or a person of color.
I feel like a lot of these things are just like they look like they're doing something, but they end up doing nothing. You know what I mean? Like I
It's
feel like
worse
that's
than
like
doing
very
nothing. Listen, what the diversity and inclusion stuff is doing is worse than nothing. That
I
is
think
my
Hollywood's a good perfect example of this because they're like really all about this, right? And there's a certain actress, I can't remember her name. I talked about it before on one of our live streams, how she was saying it was way more racist in Hollywood than like Georgia or anywhere she grew up. I can't remember if it was Alabama or Georgia where she grew up, but and I was like, I completely believe it. I completely believe it.
Yeah, look at the profoundly racist images coming out of Hollywood. For generations, and the stuff really hasn't changed. They've become more clever with the way that they do it, but the reason they keep doing that is because those images, they sell. I mean, people go and they pack the theaters and they keep pumping out that terrible, that terrible stereotyped, bogus stuff. Now, obviously, you can also blame the people that are going to the movies to support this patently racist stuff. You could say, "Hey, we're not gonna support this," and we could make them discontinue whole genres of movies that are
What was
inherently
that movie
problematic.
Jamie Foxx? Jamie Foxx was in one of those type of movies, right? What was that movie? I can't remember what it's called.
Are you talking about
It was pretty
Django?
good. I think he was in that. Yeah, that's what it was. And there's a story about Jamie Foxx today that came out that he might be paralyzed and blind.
Oh,
And I
right,
told you
right.
about that earlier. Yeah. And
Yeah,
we don't know what the cause is, but there's some speculation from a Hollywood journalist that it had to do with that pokey thing. I don't know if it's
Oh,
true though.
yeah,
It could
right.
be just his high cholesterol. We don't know. He had some sort of stroke and blood clots or something that caused him to be paralyzed and blind. And I don't know if he'll be able to. I don't know if he'll be able to get out of it. I don't know what's going on with this, or if it's
This
temporary,
is messed
or. But I mean, he was in that Django, right? That movie Django, which I think
He
I think
was,
I
but
saw. I think it's pretty good. He's a good
it,
actor. I like him.
and understand, I don't have an issue with um movies that depict, unfortunate events in the history of this country, that depict, slavery and things like that. I don't have an issue with that. I have an issue with I have an issue with these images, in particular images of black men that are basically the same images that they were promoting during this this kind of show called a minstrel show. And a minstrel show was basically where in really great music, super talented dancers and singers and everything, but basically black folks weren't wearing blackface with big red lips, with the white hands, and they're doing all this kind of stuff, and they've
You
got
mean
all
like
these
Justin
jungle
Trudeau did? You
scenes.
mean
Huh?
like Justin Trudeau did or something?
Well, yeah. Well, that's a
But
so
of course
the
he
reason.
cares. He's all about inclusion and all this stuff, folks. So that was just a mistake, right?
Yeah. Well, but all of the sort of prototype racist images, many of them came from the minstrel shows, and then they started basically then Hollywood gets a hold of the stuff, and then they promote all that stuff, and we're just used to those sort of depictions of people, and so we just buy
I
the
was
stuff.
thinking, and a lot of these dudes end up being on the left, but then they also switch sides.
100
I've seen this like with
100%.
Hillary, of course, Clinton, this chick back in like the 80s, she was all about getting rid of bad things on TV. She was all acting conservative. I mean, she literally was. She was like,
Right.
we got to get rid of all this bad stuff on TV. And of course, the 80s is nothing compared to what they put on TV today. And so I thought it was really interesting. It's kind of like I was saying, you got this Artemis and Venus, and the devil will play either side. I'll pretend to be religious and fake, or I'll pretend to be, or I'll be the way over on the other side, and they'll just change their viewpoints like off the fly. You'll notice some of these politicians just change their viewpoint. Like one day they're against gay, of course, marriage, but then the next day they're for it. But I was always for it. They weren't for it like 3 years ago, and now they're for it. You know what I mean? It's just like really, they're just like this flip flopping fish, and they'll just do whatever. It's like the devil's a chameleon and just do whatever to get his agenda across. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean Barack Obama was totally, oh no, I'm not for gay marriage, and then he gets in office, and then
all of them
there you
did
go.
it. All of them did it, man.
All right, well,
I think
what
on the right too, they did it too, man. They're flip flopping on that too. I think so.
Oh, absolutely, and I talk about this frequently too. Both parties, Democrats and Republicans, I believe to be totally in the tank for girl power. Now, one of the parties talks like they're okay. We're family values. We're like this, and we're not condemn masculinity by calling it toxic masculinity like this. The other party, it just goes all the way and just says it, But when you look at the way that they actually behave, they're really all doing the same stuff.
And they're moving the goalposts. They're moving the goalposts, and they're moving the entirety of society, which I think is what these two goddesses do. The devil uses both because he knows that you can't control everybody on one. You can't get everybody on one side. So he gets them on both sides, and then he moves it. He moves the entire society the wrong direction through these two sides. And I think that's how it works. And that's what that guy was basically saying. I don't think he even really fully understood it, but he said he had a vision or dream about this. And it made perfect sense to me. I was like, this makes perfect sense. Of course, this song hit #1, apparently. I don't know. I just heard it today. It hit #1. Forgiato Blow here. This guy, I don't even know how to say his name. You've seen that guy before, right? His song is basically, he's a rapper, dude. And this guy too, he's the one with the really nice voice. I can't remember his name. But is he the Jimmy Levy? I think he's the Jimmy Levy guy. But have you seen that song? It's pretty good.
No, I actually haven't seen it. I haven't actually seen it.
Yeah. You can't hear it from here though. If you
want
to play
and I don't know if we want to play it because it's probably if it's music, they'll be trying to copyright it.
Actually, we were talking about Jamie Foxx a minute ago. Yep. So Mike Tyson was saying Jamie Foxx had high cholesterol, and that might have caused a stroke. So that might have been actually the real reason. We don't know at this point what really caused him to be paralyzed and blind, but there is a Hollywood journalist claiming it was from the pokey thing. We don't know. I guess we'll find out in time. Sometimes they don't even want you to know. I mean, with that one football player guy, they like months and months, you didn't know what happened to that guy. But I guess we'll see what happens in time. But there's a famous Hollywood journalist, AZ Benza, saying that it was from that. And maybe there's also the factor because some people can't get those. They just can't get any pokey, you know what I mean? And if they get it, it can screw them up. Like I have a friend, Rob, that's where he's at. Like he literally can't, and he was pressured. It says he was pressured into doing it for a movie. And I'm like, why would you take it now? And why are they pressuring it now? Because it's like no one has it anymore. No one gets it anymore. And those are like really old. If you understand what I mean, things change, like flus and all this change over time, right? So if you're taking something that's 2 years old, it's not going to do you any good because everybody's already had it. It's already mutated and became something else anyways. So why are you getting it? And they pressured him to get it for a movie apparently recently, which is kind of strange. I don't know if this is what this journalist is saying. I don't know if it's true or not, but I just think it's kind of curious. Mike Tyson was saying, I think this was like from 10 days ago. He was saying something about him having high cholesterol because he's working on something with Mike Tyson right now, I guess. But I don't know. It's just really weird how you can't even talk about it. And if you talk about it, you could be in trouble, all this kind of stuff, right? It's just amazing. Can't ever talk about anything. And if you do, a year from now, you'll be able to talk about something you couldn't talk about a year ago, right? Stuff like that too. It's ridiculous.
Yep. This sort of dumpster diving that the media, the sort of cancel culturists
Right.
go through. They'll dumpster dive in your Twitter 10 years, find a 10-year-old post where you say something, you're a comedian. You say something that's meant to be funny, but
Right.
hey, wait a minute, you're not using the right language. So then they cancel you in present day. It's like, dude, that's some stuff I said 10 years ago. What
I think
how is this?
I think they took a corporate policy and then just made it a cancel culture thing because I remember 20 years ago when I was working as an engineer, I remember reading these ridiculous rules at my company. Like you can't use anything at the company for your own interests or for your own purposes. Like you couldn't even go in the bathroom and use toilet paper for your own purposes. You know what I mean? And I was thinking, well, they do this because then they can easily fire you for any reason. So like they don't like you for a reason A, so then they go find any reason B to get you fired. So they have you automatically breaking the rules with their laws. They have a bunch of vague rules. You're always breaking the rules because they're very vague and very can mean anything, right? And then because they don't like this thing over here you're doing, but they don't want to fire you for that reason because that would look weird. So they fire you for this reason, which is the catch-all reason, right? So that I feel like that's what the cancel culture thing is as well. Is like they go find you a tweet from 10 years ago. They're not really canceling you for the tweet from 10 years ago. It's because of something you did recently. You did something really bad recently, but we got to cancel you. So we're going to go find something from 10 years ago you said, right? It's the same thing. That's my thoughts. That's my theory.
Yeah. Let me wrap that up. The
Yeah, go ahead.
diversity inclusion thing, because I didn't really finish that.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
So what the diversity and inclusion thing does is it's basically the outgrowth of intersectional feminism. And so all of the stuff that is prioritized is all of the it's all the LGBTQ stuff. So it's like flipped upside down where immutable characteristics are not prioritized. And if anything should be prioritized, it would be immutable characteristics. But what they've done is the behavior stuff, all of this sort of lifestyle kind of stuff. That stuff seems to be prioritized, and it's really bogus because what it does is the people that need it the most, if there is a group that has been actually oppressed systematically oppressed, it's by far, by all of the statistical measurements, by all of the empirical data, it's black men and boys. But black men and boys are actually um, they're pushed to the bottom of the priority. So all of the intersectional stuff, all of that stuff is at the top of the list, and way down at the bottom of the list are the issues related to black men and boys, which is
But there is
exactly
one
the
way.
opposite of the point of affirmative action when it
No,
initially
wait,
was.
there's one way you can get to the top, bro.
Right, exactly,
Change
exactly.
your sex, man. Come on, man. Become a woman. Then
That's
you're
right.
gonna be at the top again, bro. Come on.
That's right.
That's all you gotta do. That's all you gotta do, man. Just put a wig on, wear a dress, and you're good. You're good to go. Hey, that works in Hollywood too, by the way. All the actors, all the male actors have to wear a wig and a dress eventually, right?
That's right.
So
That's right. The comedians, especially, hey, Jamie Foxx did it.
yeah, there you go, man. It's a bad joke. Sorry. But it's funny though.
Okay. Let's see here. I've got a bunch of stuff here. I can show some stuff here. Let's see here. What is that? This is just weird. This is not totally related, but it's just weird.
What is that? Who is that? Is that Katy Perry?
I don't know if it's Katy Perry. I it doesn't. I don't know. I don't know who
Yeah, I
it is.
can't tell. Oh no, maybe not. Well, maybe I can't tell. It's kind of hard to tell from here. Is that
But
one
the
of those
thing is,
weird things they're doing with like fake blood and stuff now, where they like trying to protest and stuff? I've seen
yeah,
that like
this is like I don't know if it's like she's trying to simulate like she's taking them out like it's breast implants, you know?
oh
Yeah, because
yeah, I don't
that's
know.
because I mean she pulls them out of her she pulls them out of her dress like that, see?
Right.
And they are like about the size of that, and then they're like
Uh,
all bloody and stuff. You know, so I don't know. That's just like a weird thing. Again, just to add to
I don't know.
the general weirdness of what's going on. Um, let's. Yeah, I don't want to do this one. Let's do. Oh no, that's another. So I had a couple of them that were a little more lighthearted. Okay, here we go. You know, I've been on this sort of, there's all kinds of goofy stuff that goes on, and they don't do enough vetting.
The cussing preacher. I got this. This is good.
Yeah. Well, they don't do enough vetting of. Well, no, it's not the cussing preacher. This is just like a
Oh,
worship.
okay.
But it seems to me like a lot of these sort of mega churches, because they, the whole trending younger thing, and let's put younger and younger people in positions of authority, let's do all of this kind of stuff. But then you end up with some weird stuff that goes down. Now, this could just be a mistake. This could just be a misspeaking, and it's not necessarily an indication of something. But listen closely.
Said he wants it. He said he can handle it. He said that he loves you. He said that he'll take your sin, and he'll give you a firm foundation.
Wait, one more time. This is just for fun. Here you go.
Said he wants it. He said he can handle it. He said that he loves you. He said that he'll take your sin, and he'll give you a firm foundation.
I don't know.
Hey, I mean, God in the Old Testament said dung, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
So,
know.
I mean, hey, it's biblical. It's biblical, man.
Okay, and I was talking about there seems like there is somewhat of a rise of ministers that are a little more willing to like actually say the real stuff and not sort of back down. Now, we can talk about this. Might be a good place to kind of talk about this. Is he going too far with the stuff that he's saying or not? But at least he's saying something. So here we go.
Please listen carefully.
Okay. I got a little note here. And so this morning when I made it, I couldn't figure out if it was the Lord or Loran. So in the first service, I acted on the note. You decide if it's the Lord or Loran. I want to talk to the men for just a second. Men, when I talk about temptation, you know what one of the greatest temptations is, and it's her. You can't walk out of this building, you can't go anywhere in public and not see flesh, nudity, seductresses, dressing to appeal, dressing to look good. You know what I'm talking about. And short and low, and here are men who want to live right. Men that want to be holy. They got nowhere to turn because in a 360-degree circle, it's everywhere. But the problem is that they have to see it in church. No man ought to have to fight that in church. Ladies, girls, when you get up to get dressed to come to church, you need to realize you're coming to the holy house of God. You ought not to come here to show off, your legs. And if you're constantly having to fight to stay decent, you got the wrong wardrobe on. And not just for church, but for anywhere else. Now, I am not mad. I'm just trying to tell you the truth. You need to change wardrobes. This is not a place to find a date. This is not a place to find a new husband. This is a place where you come in and the Spirit of God fills it, and Jesus is here, and His holiness is here, and you ought not to be the cause for a man having to fight his flesh in a service. Well, Pastor, what about the men? I've had no complaints about a man whose breeches legs were too short. Here's another one. But Pastor, that's our culture. Now hear me. When you get saved, you change cultures. I don't care what you call it. French, Russian, Romanian, I don't care what it is. When you get saved, you become a Christian and you conduct yourself as a Christian and you dress modestly for the glory of God everywhere you go.
Okay, so you were talking about this sort of kind of this polarity where folks take stuff too far and they get, all holier than thou and all this kind of thing, right? Now, what do you think of what do you think of that? What do you think of his commentary?
What I was thinking is like this. This might sound a little strange, but like, okay, imagine, and this is what I was talking about in one of my videos. Imagine like the medieval times, right? Medieval times, they obviously didn't have a problem with short clothes and all that kind of stuff. Probably. I mean, they were probably much more modest than women today, right? But you had artwork that was, you had nudity in artwork, which is kind of strange, in sculptures, right? And you'll see it in churches and cathedrals back then. But could you imagine any cathedral or church having that today? No way, right? It just sounds insane, right? It sounds crazy. So, but they dressed modestly for the most part, right? All the time, the medieval times, right? But then they had this paintings and artwork and sculptures, right? Like this. And they would have them even in cathedrals. I think I know why. I think I know what happened. And I think it comes down to that goddess idea I was telling you about, because guess what happened in 1611? They made the King James Bible, right? And guess what? Before the King James Bible, most Bibles said one verse differently. They said, when it says, Jesus said, if you look upon a woman with lust, you've committed adultery, right? You've heard this verse, right?
Yeah.
Well, it didn't say that. In all the other most of the translations before the King James, it said, if you look upon a wife, another man's woman,
Right.
with lust.
Right.
So the King James changed it to woman, and that was in 1611. That was after the medieval times, right? Before the medieval times, they didn't read that verse the same. They were like, oh, if I lust after some dude's wife, okay, I can handle that. I don't need to do that. But if I can't look at any woman, that's crazy, right? So this is the difference. So we adopted this idea of like it's always wrong. And that I think is the Artemis, like goddess type thing. And see, then because of this confusion, it makes a split in culture. And then you get the Venus thing, which is like the OnlyFans chicks, which is what you see today. I mean, you just women all dressed and ridiculous, right? So it's like a rebellious spirit. So like you have this, like you think of a pastor's daughter, right? She's always the one that rebels first, right? Because her father's got, this iron hand on her, and then she's the first one to rebel, right? So I feel like part of it is because you have the incorrect standard and it's too strict, it causes people to rebel, and then they're all dressing crazy, right? But I think when you have it all harmonized, then you'll get something maybe like in the medieval times where everybody was dressing normal. They didn't have to go around dressing crazy, but then they still had artwork and stuff like this, classical architecture that had stuff like that in it. So it kind of makes me feel like it was a different time, a different wavelength in their minds. It was just, everything was like, you see what I mean? I feel like there's something there I've discovered that would explain why there's so much weirdness. And also we have theologies today where it says like, if you lust, there's like Calvinism is like the whole idea of Calvinism is like, oh, you can't stop lusting. That means you can never live right. So they actually argue you can never live right because you can't stop lusting, right? But actually, what if the verse was just mistranslated? And then this is because they think they can't stop sinning. They think you can't ever live right. So they're just like, oh, I'm just a sinner, a saved sinner. And I just keep sinning all the time, which is like a real ridiculous way to think. It's kind of like a contradiction, like a hypocrisy contradiction or something. So I think it causes people to be hypocrites too. They have a double life because they have the strict standard, but then they don't live it.
Yeah. So it's interesting. The whole balance thing is critical. So it seems like the issue with the polarity is when you get sucked all the way to one side or the other side. If you're somewhere in the middle where you're acknowledging obviously what the principles are, what the rules are, what's right and what's wrong, but you're sort of conducting yourself with a sense of sort of temperance and balance, and all of that.
Family. You're about family. You're trying to get married. You're not like going around trying to be having an OnlyFans,
Right. Exactly.
You're not trying to be Kim Kardashian. You're not trying to be Kim Kardashian, right? So
yeah, and that's a sort of interesting thing. Now, this idea of sort of like dressing modestly, I do think that is a value, and I do think that,
I do too. I think so too.
Yeah, and more often than not, that should be the standard. However, we know that we're not the clothing's dress code and clothing standards are different now than they used to be. I don't think that necessarily changes what should be allowable with respect to the purpose of what you're wearing, because I think that people know what it is that they're putting on and what kind of attention they're trying to get with it.
Right. And then when you have a woman put all this really, really shows everything out. It's like this gym thing that recently came out, with all the women having videos of them wearing something super nice looking and very tight. And then they expect no man to look at them. And if one man looks at them like, oh my goodness, it's just like, it's hilarious. It's like, what do you expect? You're like literally putting it out there. And then you're getting offended when someone looks, and it's your fault. It's like, so men are trying to look the opposite direction now. They're like trying to look away and look up.
Yeah. All right, everybody, like, share, comment, subscribe, become a channel member where you get access to all archive videos, support independent media, super chats enabled, super thanks for the replay gang, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Dr. Thunder Music, all one word. Spell out the word doctor. And if you want to join the sandwich gang and buy me a sandwich, shoot me a Cash App. So, what you got for us, man?
Oh, I don't know. We already talked about some of what was going on with Target and stuff. You heard about actually the one that was really interesting was the fact that the brand that they were promoting also had products that were essentially of the devil, right?
Yep, yep. I
And we're
saw it.
seeing a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of that of recent. Did you see the clip from Therese, the guy that was in Fast and Furious 10?
No.
He was speaking against this. I mean, we got Hollywood actors now talking against this. Actually, I should pull that up. I had, let me see if I can find it. I actually put out a video. It's the latest video on my channel, God Rules, where I talk about, I play the clip. And actually, I'll find the clip for you real quick. Okay, where's the clip? Where did I find this, folks? Give me a second here. Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, Fast and Furious. Fast. Yeah, here we go. I think I found it. Here it is. I think I found the clip. And you can play it where he says it.
Sure.
The video is called, it's on Big Boy TV. Tyrese talks Fast and Furious 10. Paul Walker, Tupac performs his music live. And it's actually in this area. Let's see if this is the right area. Yeah, around the 24-minute mark. This is the guy in the movie Fast and Furious. And he's talking about how they're promoting the devil everywhere. We saw the devil in the Grammys with that one performance, literally the devil on the stage dancing around. He's talking about it in this interview. And actually what's funny is the guy doesn't want to talk about it too much. He talks about it, and then the guy's like tries to change the topic really quick, which is funny.
Hey,
but
so how far in is it?
A 24-minute approximately. I think it was about the 24-minute mark. And actually you could see a lot of people played it around that time frame. It's around the 2350 or so, I think.
The talks and the laughter and the bonding and the conversation that was never there. Now, people know I didn't have the best relationship with my mom. So as a son, I was longing for the relationship to be better while she was still here.
Yes, sir.
So I really started longing for that relationship once she transitioned. So God will send you all of the desires of your heart. And that is something that I want everybody who can hear this interview to know. As much as I'm supposed to be promoting this movie and talking about my album, I just feel like we're in competition right now because they are trying to normalize the devil. They are trying to the devil is on the main stage at award shows and in every video and signs and symbols. And I said, you know what? We need to stop treating our relationship with Jesus like the little buddy that you talk to before you go to bed at night, and not be more vocal about all the things that God means to us and all of the things that God has brought us through. Because there's been a lot of moments that you didn't post about.
Mm-hmm.
But yet how did God decide to get me through this?
Yeah, man.
And they going above and beyond to promote the devil. And it's pissing me off because the devil worshipers used to be real secretive, going down in the basement, this secret world. Now they just
they on the device too.
Yeah,
Believe that.
Yeah.
I do want to come back, and I want to.
All right. Yeah, totally.
He changes the topic there, which is, I mean, he's agreeing with them, so it's cool and such. But I think he didn't want to stay on the devil topic too long. But he's in agreement with them. It seemed like though. But he's like he wanted to talk about Fast and Furious 10, of course, which I want to go see that. I mean, I like the Fast and Furious franchise because it seems to promote family, family values and stuff. Even though it's kind of exaggerated and ridiculous car scenes and stuff, but cars jumping off everything.
Let's see here. I got a couple things here. Oh, this is a really good, and this is going to be a good one for us to play, given what today is and beginning of a particular month. Let's take a listen to this. This is good
when
stuff.
somebody says that like they were biologically a male but they changed to a female. How should we go about, like, do we accept them? How do we go about that being Christians?
There's some giggles. It's a hard question to ask because honestly, this type of question never would have been on anybody's radar when I was in high school, when I graduated in 2015, but now it's so normal. 20% of our generation self-identifies as LGBTQ+. 20%. That's 1 in 5. So if you count the people sitting around you, 1 in 5, chances are in our generation, are dealing with questions like this every single day. There is a way to show love to someone and to love someone without endorsing their lifestyle or how they are choosing to live their life. And as Christians, we are called to love everyone, including loving our enemies, but loving people starts with telling them the truth and not giving in to the lies of society. It's an incredibly difficult journey to walk right now with our generation that I think we're still trying to figure out. But ultimately, it's not supposed to be easy. And I don't know how much of an experience you guys have had rubbing up with Christian values in a society that's rejecting everything we believe in from a Christian values perspective. But the gospel does not say that you are going to be beloved or that you're going to have 1 million friends or 5 million followers on TikTok or have every job opportunity available to you, or even that it's always going to feel good to be a Christian. In fact, the gospel repeatedly says over and over and over again that if you dare to tell truth to a world that's rejecting the very concept of truth, and we believe as Christians, truth has a name, right? And that name is Jesus Christ, you will be hated. Hated. You'll be persecuted. Your safety might be threatened. I experience that on college campuses all the time. You probably saw the story of a young woman named Riley who was punched and repeatedly assaulted this week at San Francisco State University. At one of our events, you might lose your job. You might have friends or family members choose not to have a relationship with you anymore. You'll probably get an F in a college class at one point or another if you say that God is the creator of the universe. That's the world that we live in today. And I don't say that to scare you or freak you out or make you feel like you have to be submissive to the demands of cancel culture and the world and the woke group of people that's trying to cancel out everything that we believe in as Christians. I say that to empower you, because instead of seeking the approval of the world, which is an incredibly temporary, finite amount of time, we have the luxury of knowing this world is not our home. The next world is. Life goes extremely fast, and the demands of culture change every 5 minutes. But the demands of God and what we believe in and truth and sharing that truth with the world never changes. And I say that to empower you, to encourage you, to know that no matter what the world throws at you, take it as a sign that you're going in the right direction, because if this world loved you, you probably aren't walking in truth.
Yeah, not bad, man. And you know what's kind of weird is I remember watching this movie called Revelation, and it's from like 20 years ago. It was like one of those end times movies, and they were calling Christians haters back then. And I remember listening to some teachers back then saying that they're going to call you haters, or that like you're hateful, you're haters. And here we are 20 years later, fast forward 20 years later, and what are they saying? They're saying you're a hateful person because you don't accept this, that, and the other. They were literally 100% correct. I mean, they're slightly off. They were saying we were haters, but I mean, they're not saying it that way. They just use other words, but it's the same idea. Right. And I find that interesting. And it's not, honestly, I feel like this is partially also this divide the devil's trying to make a chasm to where it's very difficult for you to jump from one to the other place. So for the person that's on the other side, they feel like it's impossible, or the devil wants you to feel like it's impossible to be a Christian. Like you were already into this whole thing, this whole gender identity thing, and it's not. And the devil wants to make it so it feels like it's impossible for you to be a Christian, and then that way you'll never be one. And that's the entire point behind it. And I feel like that's the whole idea behind the devil having these two goddesses and dividing the culture so much, so that it's a huge chasm. So there's no way to really even communicate. Like we're to a point where it's like even hard to communicate with each side. You're right. And I think that's kind of the point is to divide so much that you can't even communicate, and communication breaks down, and then the whole society breaks down.
Okay. I've got something that's really lighthearted just for fun. This is just for fun.
All right, babe, you coming to the gym today?
Probably not. I'm not really feeling inspired to go.
You want me to inspire you?
Yeah, say something.
You're fat.
Get your fat ass.
I knew he was going to do that. That's
Copyrighted
hilarious.
right there. But look at what it says: in loving memory of Aaron.
He's dead.
He was a great dad and husband until he lost his mind.
Hey, it used to motivate people back in the old. And where my wife comes from in the Philippines, it's okay to say that. It's really weird. Like in America, you can't say someone's overweight. Even before, even like 10 years ago, it wasn't really nice to say it, even 20 years ago. But in the Philippines, like you can go up to your friend and say, "Hey, you got fatter," and it's not like offensive. Like you can say, "Hey, you like gained weight and you're looking fat now," and stuff. Here though, it's like super offensive to say that, right?
All right, so here we go. And this is funny too, because this again is just like that sort of in the world, not of the world, but it says here he just got saved, and blah blah blah. So here we go. So he's a DJ. He just got saved. Let's see what he does. Let's see.
Canvas.
So that was
getting his groove on, man.
Yeah, that was fun. And then let's you give me something, and I've got some Matt Walsh to end this out with. He's
I
always
don't know
good.
what I got, man.
Good to.
What do I got? Oh yeah, I got something kind of weird. I could talk about real quick.
Yeah.
So you got these wonderful rich people that are sort of over the world, got their little strings and stuff, trying to bring everything to pass in their desire. Apparently now they want to use robotics and artificial intelligence to do farming, and of course also to replace lots of jobs that you and I may have. And I just honestly, I don't, it just every time I see this stuff, it makes me remember the movie Terminator, with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Of course, they tell you it will start out really nice at first, right? It'll start out really nice. We'll make the robots weaker than you, slower than you. You don't got to worry about anything, right? But then later, as you accept the robots, then it will be, right? Like they'll make them stronger. Well, we got to have security ones, right? Of course. So next thing you know, you got these like Terminators running around. And of course, this could replace all the jobs too, right? So if they have AI powered robotics to solve, and of course, what is this food crisis they're talking about? They're talking about climate change. So they're using climate change as the big boogeyman to bring all the stuff to pass. So they're talking about supposedly like the Earth's going to die or something, and we're the old type of farming is very polluting, and we got to bring in the new type of farming where there's no pollution. And this is how they're trying to sell it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, that I've joked about this before, pretty soon we're going to see those robots marching down Main Street with the guns, and then
Yeah, man.
we won't know how to do anything. That's the other thing. It's like I ask, I talk to students about this all the time. Do you know it or do you Google know it? And the thing is that folks don't actually have any knowledge anymore because we're so reliant on technology. We're so reliant on this, and then we don't know how to do anything. We don't.
We're living in
change a
idiocracy.
tire on a car. We don't have to do anything, and then
did you see that movie Idiocracy?
Taken over. Go ahead.
Did you see that? Did you see that movie?
Of course.
Who was it? Was like a wrestler was the president. I can't remember the dude's name. It was a black dude.
It was Terry Crews.
Oh yeah, that guy's hilarious. I actually got one of his. I got these metal posters back here. I can just change them easily. I have one of him. I like that guy. He's a pretty cool guy. He was in the Expendables as well. Terry Crews, big muscle guy. I actually did a video about him too. Like he was actually harassed in Hollywood by some directors and stuff, asked to do things,
Yep.
and it was a male dude, of course, but
Yep.
apparently like Terry Crews. But that was another topic. But at any rate, I forgot where we're at. We got in a rabbit trail there. You were going to show something, anyways. What were you going to show?
But anyhow, yeah. I mean, we're getting to the place now where people are basically not going to know how to do anything. They're going to be so reliant on technology, and then they're going to just like in open arms. They're just going to welcome in, these robots and stuff to come do everything for us.
While thinking they're smart. That's the thing. Like they think they're smart. Like everyone thinks, "Oh, I'm so smart," because they use a phone. They don't know anything. They just like literally relying on Google. They don't know jack anything. And because they think they're so smart, they don't think they're walking into something either. And they are walking into it.
All right, so my last one for the day. My last one for the day is we're going to end up with some Matt Walsh, and he's going to try to talk some sense. We'll see.
Truth matters, and they can't get pregnant. That's the truth. So how are they still women?
Because they are for the same reason that I can rightly say that human beings have two legs. And if a person is born with only one leg, that doesn't call into question the statement that human beings have two legs, okay? A person being born with one leg doesn't mean that now legs are on a spectrum and we can't say anything at all about how many legs a person has. Who knows? They could be a centipede. They could have 100 legs. No, we know human beings have two legs. If a human is born without two legs, something went wrong. They were supposed to have that second leg. Something went wrong. If you meet a person on the street who only has one leg, maybe they had an accident, maybe they were in war, maybe something, maybe they were in a car accident, maybe they had cancer, a leg was cut off. But you know that something went wrong because by their nature, they're supposed to have two legs. Same thing for a woman. A woman by her nature can get pregnant. A man by his nature never can. So if you meet a woman of childbearing age, say she's 28 years old, and she can't get pregnant, you know automatically that something has gone wrong. And she can go to the doctor and find out what that thing is, even if they can't fix it. So that proves that women by their nature can get pregnant, because the simple fact that she can't shows you that there's something wrong. This is what is known as the exception that proves the rule. Whereas if a male with a penis can't get pregnant, no doctor on earth is going to run tests to see what's wrong with it. Because they already know it's that he's a male, and there's only male and female, those who can get pregnant and those who can't. So, that's it.
Yeah, I was going to say something. Can you show my screen real quick? I wanted to show you something real quick.
Yeah,
my friend sent me this. One of my friends sent me this the other day. There's actually a woman that had 4 legs. She actually has 2 pelvises and actually has 2 sides that she can get pregnant on, apparently. She got pregnant 2 times on one side and 3 times on the other side, apparently. So, of course, this is an exception to the rule, obviously, but she apparently had 5 children and from 2 different wombs. So I thought that was kind of crazy. He showed me that the other day, but so that's a real person actually, but
yeah, that's
not normal though. That's not, that's not the normal, but
yeah, with respect to Matt Walsh, and he gets, excuse me, he gets a lot of hate, and people are trying to treat it like he's some sort of bully or something like this, and he just won't let them have, he won't just let them have their peace or whatever like this. But I think what it is that he's doing is very important. I think insisting that certain terminology is reserved, to be used to define certain things, I think that's important. Because otherwise you can make anything can mean anything. And I think when we get to that place where anything means anything, that again is one of these things that creates a bigger and a bigger chasm between those that are lost and those that can be found.
Well,
You know,
there's more to it than that as well. You can also change history. You can change definitions on the
oh yeah,
fly, particularly
that's right.
with the internet.
That's right.
And that's one of the big things I've been talking about. Like I pull up books that were from the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, history books talking about specific things that they don't talk about today. And what's really curious is I often find when I'm looking for things like these little blurbs in Encyclopedia Britannica that will say certain things, but then today, if you go look at Wikipedia, it will contradict it. I find it really amazing. Like, and it's like moving the goalposts. The same thing before. Like you have something said in the 1500s, and then Encyclopedia Britannica will at least humor it. Like, oh yeah, there's a legend about it. But then in Wikipedia won't even. They'll be like, you're just crazy if you think that. So, but then in the 1500s, they're talking about that though. But then encyclopedia, so they're like moving it, right? And then now, because we have the internet, you can erase things on the fly. They've changed definitions overnight whenever a big political thing happens. Like, the definition of recession, that's just one
Yep,
example.
that's right.
And they'll even mess with your mind because they'll change it on the fly. You go look it up and it's like, well, wait, I thought it said something else. And now it says this, right? And I just saw that with carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. Go look up, do plants make carbon dioxide? And you'll get like this weird inverted like definition from Google on the top, almost like it makes oxygen and not carbon dioxide. And then if you go look below in the search results, everyone says, no, plants make carbon dioxide. And the reason why they did that was because they're saying the biggest pollution out there is CO2. So, but if plants are producing CO2, that means plants are producing pollution. So they like twist the definition and make it look like plants are not producing CO2 because we got to get rid of greenhouse gases because the earth's going to die and we got to have robots to stop it. It's just like, it's this weird logic, and they keep twisting things and changing definitions. And I find these things and I talk about on YouTube. And it's just really kind of funny, finding these old books that say stuff and then they won't talk about it today, or they'll just directly contradict it, like today. It's weird, but at any rate.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we have come to the end of the road.
Yeah.
And
It's a little late.
yeah, it's gotten a little late, but thanks everyone for tuning in. And God bless everybody. And God bless all the folks that don't agree with us too. You don't have to agree.
Yeah.
You don't have to agree with us, and
You might
understand.
like one thing we're saying. You might like one thing and not like the other things, So
But
iron sharpens iron. Iron sharpens iron. You learn stuff from other people, That's what conversation's for.
Yes. And, understand my dog in the fight with all of this is, just stay away from my kid. Do whatever you want to do. That's great. That's fine. I don't have an issue with that. But you just got to stay. You just can't be coming for my kid, because then you're going to have a serious problem. And I will do whatever necessary to protect my family, to protect my kid from being exposed to stuff that he should not be exposed to. And that's just what it is. Stuff that I don't think he should be exposed to. And it's my opinion that actually matters because I'm his dad. It's not your opinion. It's my opinion that actually matters.
I mean, even animals protect their own young, children. I mean, just imagine a bear and you try to go after its cubs. What do you expect to happen? You know what I mean? Even animals know to protect their own children. I mean, come on. It's very much instinctual, even.
All right.
At...
Well, that's going to be our time. And we will see you next week, likely next week. And yeah, so thanks for tuning in. Have a great one. Make sure you go back through the catalog of Two Dads React. And one of these times we're probably going to do this on Tony's channel. We're still kind of getting our ducks in a row with that, but until then, we will see you next time. Peace.
All right.